Hello, and welcome to this week's Movie Math, where Wonder Woman might not be number one anymore at the box office, but she's still all anybody can talk about. That's because she might not just be the savior of the DCEU, but the entire summer box office. Well, of course, with the exception of a little movie called Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is still $100 million ahead of Wonder Woman domestically. But the problem this year is that the summer 2017 season is incredibly front-loaded. So Wonder Woman is necessary and is being very much appreciated for propping up the entire center of the summer. But still, as you can see, excitement for Wonder Woman continues to skew her coverage, which is one-sided still. And also, I think, it doesn't paint a complete picture is what I'm saying. But don't worry, I'm here. I'm here to give you the full picture. But it's also producing some cringe-worthy moments. There was Elizabeth Banks' unfortunate situation opposite Steven Spielberg late last week. And then, over the weekend, Gal Gadot's husband Instagrammed this photo. Now, I'm so happy that he's supportive of his wife's success. But I think that comparing wives, especially when you're comparing them to put one down, is probably the most un-Wonder Woman thing that anyone could think of. And the fact that not only that he did it, but that Gal Gadot supports it, I think is really unfortunate. Where's her social media team? Who is watching her tweets? And I hope that she realizes, or her team reminds her, that while it's great that everybody's enjoying Wonder Woman, what's really fueling it and what's going to help her going forward is her female fans. We see it time and time again. We've talked about this so many times. Anne Hathaway, Emma Stone. Oh, I love having female fans, but it would be great to be thought of as super sexy, wouldn't it? I want to be the hottest. And I think that, we've talked about this being a problem for Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson. It's not a gender-specific problem, and I would hate to see Gal Gadot fall victim to the same thinking. That photo is so bad. I'm curious to hear what you think about it down below. Actually, one of the trades, that's how I saw it, stuck it right in the middle of their box office report, thinking it was a good thing, but that just again shows you how tone deaf a lot of this Wonder Woman coverage is. There's more. All right, so the other thing that people talked about was that Wonder Woman's third weekend at the box office, very impressive, by the way. We're still going to talk about how good Wonder Woman is doing. But I think it's important that while you say that Wonder Woman is her third weekend is the second best ever. So many qualifiers still. If a movie needs this many qualifiers, it's still not at the front of the pack. But it's the second best third weekend ever for Warner Brothers after The Dark Knight. Woo! But then nobody tells you what The Dark Knight's third weekend was or what it was up to at that point. Three weekends in, The Dark Knight was $393 million, far ahead of where Wonder Woman currently sits. And this is domestically we're talking. Although, to be fair, it did fall 43% in its third weekend, and Wonder Woman has enjoyed a much better hold. Again, we don't want to tear Wonder Woman down. We just want to do it the service of giving a fair representation, because this is, again, how backlashes start and people start to get upset. So on that note, it's important to remember that Wonder Woman isn't breaking box office records beyond the small scope of films that have a female action lead and are directed by a woman. But she is breaking down barriers in that space specifically, so that hopefully we'll get more of those, because Wonder Woman's very strong box office and hold as more and more moviegoers are converted, right? I mean, this was a tough sell up front. Luckily not as tough a sell as had initially been predicted, but still, as more and more people come on board, I think that you're going to see more opportunities going forward for women in front of and behind the camera. But, and this is the most important part, in mainstream films. Before it was like, oh, well, women could go make these little niche pictures, like Sofia Coppola's The Beguiled, right? Like, oh, what would women do to a man? I mean, we all can kind of guess what's going to happen there. We'll see. And I'm very happy that she's the second woman ever to win a directing award at Cannes. But still, that's very much the kind of pictures that women directors have made up until now. But this is very exciting, because now it means the women can play in the big leagues. And that's exactly what everybody wanted and what Wonder Woman needed to do and is doing. I also want to add that this should break down barriers for other demographics as well, because let's not forget that Wonder Woman features an openly gay screenwriter, Alan Heinberg. And I've been talking about him, and some of you pointed out Jeff Johns has started to shine a light on his work as well. But I was disappointed. Again, cringeworthy moments to see some people go, oh, well, Patty Jenkins significantly rewrote his work. Well, I don't see Patty Jenkins with her screenwriting credit. And the Writers Guild is very, very careful about that, making sure that credit is given where it's supposed to be. So if Alan Heinberg is the sole credited screenwriter, and he's the one who brought the Disney princess stuff to the table, as he said in many interviews, well, the ones that he's been able to get, he should be credited with that. Now, also, speaking of women directors, Wonder Woman is very close to becoming the highest-grossing film worldwide directed by a woman, surpassing Mamma Mia. But again, I'm going to give you a complete picture. We're talking about movies on the worldwide all-time list at numbers 123 and 137. They're not even on the first page of the list over on Box Office Mojo, so let's keep that in mind. However, Mamma Mia was directed by Phalinda Lloyd. Who? Exactly. Now, Phalinda Lloyd did do another film after Mamma Mia with Streep, The Iron Lady, for which Meryl Streep won an Oscar for her portrayal of Margaret Thatcher. That's actually a pretty darn good movie. But as I've said before, what we really need to do now is that women directors need to have those second acts and third acts and fourth acts. Just like Wonder Woman is having these great second and third weekends, female directors need to continue to work. They need to build careers, legacies like their male counterparts. Now, on that note, a lot of male directors are very successful because of partnerships with actors, male actors. Maybe someday we'll get mixes where male directors will partner with female actors and female directors will partner with male actors to create these dynamic duos. But right now, and also it's worth noting that Phalinda Lloyd worked with Meryl Streep again on those two pictures, perhaps Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot should consider such a partnership. So going forward with Wonder Woman, besides what's next for Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot, and maybe Chris Pine and Alan Heinberg, I mean, again, this is a movie that features a lot of great male guys in front of him behind the camera. The biggest question that remains now, I think we're done with the weekends. I mean, it's great that she continues to have these holds, etc. But I think that now we really want to see where she ends up with her worldwide total. I'm still not sure that she's going to match Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, but I want to stress this, she doesn't need to. Wonder Woman has already accomplished what she needs to accomplish as she nears 600 million. That's very, very impressive, and something that nobody, even the studio that made the movie, thought she was going to be able to do. Now, speaking of strong female characters, two male directors about to tackle other strong female leads took some big hits over the weekend. Joss Whedon, interestingly enough, was brought down a couple of pegs when his leaked Wonder Woman script was revisited and shredded on Twitter, and everybody started to go, maybe I don't feel so good about Batgirl anymore, to which I would say, have you ever actually watched any of Joss Whedon's television shows which feature strong women? It has a lot of the same elements that were in the Wonder Woman script. And then also, I think and I didn't see anybody talking about this, nobody gave Warner Brothers or the powers that be at DC Films at the time the credit for not greenlighting this script, right? Huh? All right. So then also, Colin Trevorrow's The Book of Henry came out and was not only DOA but ridiculed on arrival as well. As I told you, it looked like Home Alone child molestation movie. It seemed tone deaf from the trailers. But for some reason it had heat. But that's gone. And everybody then took it to, well, maybe Colin Trevorrow shouldn't handle the third chapter of Ray's story. I don't know. We'll see. Is shaming people on social media productive? I also don't know about that, but I will say that I'm sure that both Whedon and Trevorrow appreciate getting a heads up like this before they head into production on their respective films. Like, this is bad, but at least now they've gotten like a really strong slap on the wrist to be like, don't mess up your movies. Now, as for the rest of the box office this weekend, Cars 3 opened just as expected, and it's the 18th cinema score grade in the A range for Pixar, and their 16th #1 opening, with again just 18 films. So that's a strong brand. That's impressive. Then two wild card movies overperformed this weekend. Further proof beyond Wonder Woman that audiences perhaps aren't as in love with Hollywood's formula filmmaking as Hollywood thinks they are. So All Eyez on Me opened at #3, very strong debut, but it was tainted by Jada Pinkett Smith coming out on social media again on Friday and pointing out how, well, it's her word against the filmmakers, but other people have talked about this too, that All Eyez on Me is basically a work of fiction. So I think that that's going to hurt that a little bit. And then 40, and also All Eyes on Me continues to be stay in your own lane filmmaking, which is again why Wonder Woman's so exemplary and being so lauded, because it's inclusive. It's inclusive, even though its coverage continues to become more and more exclusive. So then also 47 Meters Down, speaking of women, this ridiculous movie far surpassed Scarlett Johansson's raunchy female comedy. So I will say that we are never, ever, ever getting a Black Widow movie, and nobody can say anything bad about it, because, I mean, these numbers, who wouldn't stay away from putting Scarlett Johansson in a lead film after this? I would be concerned it would hurt her standing in the MCU movies going forward that are group films. But anyway, overseas, which is becoming more and more, a bigger piece of the pie, The Mummy is still number one, with another 53 million that it managed to chalk up or unearth, and Wonder Woman is behind it with a touch below 40. So again, the numbers aren't huge, although Wonder Woman still has a couple countries to hit, as you guys have pointed out. But I don't see the big chunks in her future of cash that's going to get her maybe into the Batman v Superman Suicide Squad territory. And it's not going to save The Mummy either, by the way. It might make The Mummy break even, but The Mummy's in bad shape. Pirates, though, continues to do very well overseas, having just passed 500 million overseas, and enjoyed domestically just a 21% drop in its fourth weekend. So that's pretty amazing as well. As for this coming weekend, Transformers opens on Wednesday, and it's anybody's guess how it will do over the 5-day period. It's pegged at around 70 for the 3-day. But I will tell you this, that the embargo for Transformers, The Last Night, lifts with the very first showings on the East Coast. The latest I've ever seen an embargo lift for a movie. The only other thing you could do is not screen it for critics. So I don't know if it's the lack of faith or if they're just like, the Rotten Tomatoes number is going to be so bad, let's delay it as much as possible. But anyway, my review will hit when that embargo lifts tomorrow. And that's the weekend box office report. Thank you so much for going over it with me. Please share your own thoughts about the weekend box office down below, from Wonder Woman's coverage to women directors, etc. And then also what movie you plan to see this coming weekend. Are you going to do it? Are you going to go see Transformers The Last Night? It's kind of a summer tradition, right? And then you can also, of course, check out some more videos right now.